Right before my show, I got a burn on my forehead. It was sad. I couldn't cry because I had to go. Beauty is pain, child. Hey everyone, this is Jody, the Brooklyn Zillennial, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in my last Let's Talk About My Brooklyn video, I spoke about what it was like growing up Caribbean in Brooklyn. And within that same video, I also just discussed how it was my mother's mission to just include religion within me and my brother's lives growing up. As I was reflecting, I was like, let me actually just dedicate a whole video of me going down memory lane about that. So let's get into it, okay? So because my mom wanted religion to be one of the basic principles in me and my brother's lives, we went to a private elementary school. And that private elementary school was Battalion Christian Academy. It's located in East Flatbush, right on Schenectady Ave. It is, right? I hope it is. I'm talking like I know. Battalion Christian Academy, where the hell it is? It's not located on Schenectady Avenue. My apologies. It's Linden Boulevard. Yeah. It goes from pre-K to 5th grade. So the layout of the school, there were 2 floors. On the first floor is usually the upperclassmen. I would say 3rd through 5th grade. And then on the second floor, it would be pre-K to 2nd grade. And then in the basement, you had the cafeteria / our gym class / music room / whatever, right? And then on the top floor, that's where we had the sanctuary. Aside from Battalion Christian Academy being a private elementary school, it was also a church. So the sanctuary, that's where the church was. Keep that in mind because it's gonna come back later. So yes, at that school, we did get our basic education like math, social studies, science, arts, gym, yada yada, all that good stuff. However, one of the fundamentals of that school was also religion, and the religion that they practiced was Christianity. So within our education, God was a reoccurring topic. Christianity wasn't a taboo subject, and they definitely encouraged all of the students just to figure out the relationship with Christ. So as a kid, this was my first introduction into education. I didn't see anything wrong with it. Honestly, I still don't, because at the end of the day, that school shaped who I am as a person, and I will say, not to toot my own horn, I turned out to be a good person, So a typical day of being a student at BCA, we would initially come into the school and go to our homeroom, right? So with the homeroom, you already know you stay there for practically the whole day other than some subjects. From 7:30 to like 9-ish, that's when our homeroom teacher would just start teaching us subjects. And then at 9, we used to go up to the sanctuary on the top floor for devotion. Honestly, to summarize it in just a few words, think of Sunday school. That's exactly what it was. What did it look like? I would say think of a regular Sunday service where you start off with some praise, right? Aside from our teachers being, you know, educators, they also were heavily involved in their lives in their own church, right? So we had teachers that were hella talented. They were singers, so you know, they would lead the praises, and sometimes they would call in students to come up with them to also sing with them at the altar, right? I was one of those children that always used to go up when I could. I was a mini Whitney Houston. I'm joking. But I definitely was singing up there, okay? You couldn't tell me nothing. I was praising the Lord, child. So after the praise section, another teacher would also come up and just deliver the sermon of the day. So usually like the sermons or the words of the day would be a Bible story, right? So think of Daniel and the Lion's Den, David and Goliath, Adam and Eve. If you've never attended Sunday school, right? There were Sunday school teachers that were by the book, right? They were very dry with how they delivered the service. However, there were also Sunday school teachers that were very fun. You know, they wanted to incorporate humor and make the Bible just intriguing to little kids. If you've never read the Bible, it's very, oh Jesus, don't hate me. For 5-year-olds to 10-year-olds, it's a little mundane for them to reading at that age, right? So it was always good to have Sunday school teachers that would make it a fun experience. So as a kid, I always favored teachers that were able to just make learning about the Bible fun. And one of my favorite teachers is Teacher Bob. Love Teacher Bob, child. If you had Teacher Bob at BCA, you already know what I'm talking about. Whenever he was the person delivering the sermon during devotion, he always just brought energy, humor. He made it seem cool to want to learn the Bible and just to read all the stories. He was a personal favorite of mine. And then after devotion, we would just go back to classes and have our regular day. So a core memory of just going to a private elementary school, right? I was never ashy. I was never ashy, child. One thing about it, my mom, she used to lather me in Vaseline. Just notice. One thing about a Jamaican, what they have in their toiletries, Dettol soap, Vaseline, and Johnson's baby oil. If you know, you know. You know what I'm talking about. Whenever I used to get up for school, my mom used to always lather my face. I was drenched in Vaseline, okay? Drenched. And you know what's crazy? When I got to college, I used to always put Vaseline on my face, and my friends used to be like, are your pores not clogged? And it wasn't. I'm not gonna hold you, it wasn't. My skin grew accustomed to just having Vaseline on it. My mom, she swore by God and Vaseline and Dettol soap. And I carry that into my adulthood because I have Vaseline in my pouch bag. I have lotion in my pouch bag. I have my Carmex in my pouch bag. I have my lip gloss in my pouch bag. I got everything, child. So yeah, carry a Vaseline in your pouch. So I have a brother who's 5 years older than me, right? And a part of us growing up, my mom made it another mission to make sure that we went to the same private elementary school together. I think that was more so because that gave her peace of mind knowing that we both were in the same vicinity. 2, we would go to school together and we would look out for each other. 3, my mom wanted religion to just be one of our basic fundamentals as individuals. Having an older brother at the school before I went there was definitely helpful. All the teachers knew me. All the older kids, like, they knew me and they looked out for me because, again, my brother Loki was a cool kid, I guess. But yeah, I was good. BCA was not only a private elementary school, it was also a Caribbean school, okay? All of the teachers, they were West Indian. All of them. Everyone had an accent. All the teachers, they were very nurturing. They weren't only educators, they definitely served as a second family. Yes, they were very strict, but they were also just kind and definitely wanted the best for you. I'm super grateful for the friendships that I encountered at that school. One of my best friends slash chosen sisters, shout out to Jada, still heavily present in my life, right? Like, that's my girl. I'm not close with everyone else. However, if I were to see them on the street, definitely all love. Like, some of my best friends at that time were included in my Sweet 16, right? Like, even after we graduated from BCA, we still stayed connected. One of the things we used to love doing, so after we graduated BCA, we would go to middle school, right? And in middle school, there were half days. And on those half days, we would always plan, all right, so what we doing? We would always plan out activities just so we could remain close and hang out. And with hanging out, we would always go back to BCA, visit the teachers that we loved, and visit some of the students that were still there while we attended, right? And one thing about it, the teachers always welcomed us back, you know, with open arms. They're like, oh my gosh, how are you doing? How is your mom? How's your brother? Yada, 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 child, yeah. But you know, you grow up, you kind of grow apart. Again, all love. So I'm very grateful for the introduction of what friendships should look like. I had like a solid group at that school. So yeah, shout out to y'all. If y'all end up watching this video, yeah, like, yeah, y'all remember. You can find me on Instagram too, so let me know. So one of the things I loved about BCA, it definitely nurtured my love for the arts. So a little background about me, I love dancing. I was a dancer growing up. That was my bread and butter. I was under the belief that I would be a backup dancer, and I really thought I was gonna be a backup dancer for Justin Bieber. Not saying that it can't happen now, right? So my introduction into dancing was liturgical dance, praise dance. At BCA, there was a lot of that. You know, there were outlets to engage in praise dancing. And then if dancing wasn't your cup of tea, there was also like music classes, right? If you played an instrument, we had Brother Ed, R.I.P. He played all the instruments under the sun, child. Like literally everything. He was like the music teacher that you would go to. He would help you. Yeah, definitely, he nurtured your talent. And then we had Teacher Rhea, who was the vocalist of the school, child. One thing about her, she could sing. She was a beautiful vocalist. So from my experience, one thing about Christians who are just musically inclined, they are hella talented, like hella talented. And you wouldn't know that because they focused more on just praising God with the tools that he gave them, you know? So all my teachers that engaged in just art, they were hella talented. It was a great first impression of just what art could look like, you know? And in such a positive and just joyous light. So with BCA really pushing arts within the students, we always had a Christmas show every year. And the Christmas show, basically, it would, honestly, I don't even know how they came up with the stories, child, but think of it as like a Broadway musical, right? The 5th graders usually were the main characters, the main actors, right? Because it's their final years. So the teachers just wanted to give them a spotlight. So the lower classmen usually just popped in to sing songs here and there throughout the show. And usually the Christmas show took place in the sanctuary, where devotion during school and church service on Sundays were held. So with the Christmas shows happening within the sanctuary, all the parents, family members, teachers, they just came and just watched the kids do their big one. And I forgot to mention this, in the sanctuary, yes, there's like a ground level, but there was also a balcony. So I remember all of the children who were in the Christmas show, they would have to wait on the balcony and then come down to the main floor in order to perform. Yeah, it was a whole production. And I remember one year where I think I was in 3rd or 4th grade. One thing about my mom, child, I love her, I love her, I love her. She was notoriously late for events. Let's say an event started at 8. Old girl would not get there until 9 or 10. Oh my gosh, I love you. One thing about Kayla, she was notoriously late. So one year when I was in the Christmas show, I wasn't one of the main characters. I wasn't a senior at that time. I was late. But anyways, I was late because I had to do my hair. I was in a Dominican hair salon, child. And one thing about Dominican hair salons, they blow out your hair, child, and they burn it off. But that particular year, you know, they were doing like, they were trying to lay it flat right on my forehead. And the heat burned me on my forehead right before my show. Right before my show, I got a burn on my forehead, all right? It was sad. I couldn't cry because I had to go. Beauty is pain, child. It's been pain since I was childhood. Yeah, so. With BCA nurturing just the artistic side of the students, I think that's where my stan ways grew. And when I say stan, I'm talking about just being a fan of like celebrity folks, right? And in this particular instance, I remember in 3rd grade, High School Musical was released. Moment of silence, please. High School Musical was released, okay? That changed things for me. That changed the way that I saw art. I have never loved a movie before like I loved High School Musical. When I say I was obsessed, I was obsessed. And the great thing about it, I wasn't the only one obsessed. Everyone in my class was also obsessed with High School Musical. So we all watched it at home and then talked about it the next day. And when I tell you that was a reoccurring conversation throughout the whole year, it was. We were focused on learning the lyrics, the dances, just recreating what High School Musical was in our own class. Like if we had any free time, free periods, lunch, people in my friend group, we would meet up and then just, all right, so who are you? You Gabriella, you Sharpay, like who you? I usually was Gabriella, child. This is so funny. We would say, okay, I'm this character and I'm gonna sing this part, right? And then all right, so if you this character, you gotta learn this dance move. It was so funny. Like looking back at it, it's just kids being kids, you know? And High School Musical was that one kids movie that really shaped a generation. It shaped a generation so bad. High School Musical, you did your big one with that. I think Battalion Christian Academy was one of the best schools that I could have started with. I'll stand 10 toes down on that. From having West Indian teachers, great friends, the arts being ingrained in me. Yeah, it was a great time and it nurtured me as a student. And one thing about it, even though I keep on talking about the arts because that was honestly that's just me as a person, the education wise was actually good too. I was a great student from elementary to my graduate school program. I continued being a great student. Battalion Christian Academy definitely laid that foundation for me. So yeah, Battalion Christian Academy did that. They did their big ones. If you went to Battalion Christian Academy, let me know how your experience was. If you didn't go to Battalion Christian Academy, but you did go to a private school, let me know how that experience was for you. Thank you for watching my video. I'll see y'all next time. I'm a little hot, y'all. Sorry. Child, it was large. I don't even know how to describe it. In my last, honestly, it was not a few. It was a while ago, child. Yes, mommy. Child, it's going longer than I thought it would.